What's up, everybody? My name is Josh Cahill, and in this episode of Marketing Minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to create a real estate messenger bot so you can bring in more leads using home valuations. Stay tuned. Hey, Josh Cahill here, the Mustache Marketer, bringing you all the latest tips, tricks, and strategies so you can grow your leads, sales, and revenue with Facebook marketing. And on this channel, we do a lot of how-to and step-by-step videos just like this one. So if you're new here, consider subscribing below. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and get started. So today we're going to build a real estate messenger bot that has a home valuation flow. So if you're a real estate agent, you can use this in your own messenger bot to give more value to your clients and your potential clients with a free home valuation. They don't ever have to even go to a website. They can do everything right in the messenger bot itself. If you're a pro marketer and you have real estate agents as clients, you're going to learn how to build this for those clients so you can be seen as the expert and give more value to your clients. So let's dive in. So the first thing you guys are going to want to do to make it easy on yourself is build out the custom fields. You're going to need several custom fields throughout this to make this work properly. So go under settings, and then you're going to go under custom fields. So you can name it whatever you want, but for me to keep it organized, we're going to have one question, question 2, and question 3. So when you're going through the flow, these are the custom fields that are going to collect the address, they're going to collect the city, and they're going to collect the zip code. So I would go ahead and start by making those right away, so that way you can go and grab them when you need them. Then we're going to go under the flow section. We are going to build out 6 different flows to make this whole thing work. So not only are we building a home valuation bot, but we're also going to retarget those audiences with conditions and smart delays. So that way, if somebody doesn't finish the flow, you can go back and retarget them and make sure that your audience is answering as many questions as possible. So to do that properly, we're going to need 6 different flows. So we're going to start with the home evaluation question 1, which is going to be the address. So I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do this. I already have this built out, but I'll show you all the little tips and tricks that you're going to need to know along the way. So I like to use Flow Builder. It makes things a lot easier. So the first thing you're going to want to do is ask, what's the current address of the property? So we are getting this information from Zillow, and I'm going to go into Zapier and Zillow and show you guys how to pull that information also. But the first thing you want to do is ask for the current address of the property. And this has to be in a user input field. So if we were to go in here and edit this, down here at the bottom, it has to be user input. So you're definitely going to need a pro account to make this work. You won't be able to use a text or image or anything else. So the very first question is going to be that user input. So we're going to go in here. The reply type is going to be the text. And this is why you need to go ahead and create those custom fields, because we want to grab those custom fields while we're building this out. So the very first question that we're going to save is for the address. So that's saved in there. On this first one, you're also going to want to add a tag, which is what we're going to use as part of the condition and part of the smart delay. So if you ask someone in the flow, what is your address? And they don't answer, they got distracted, they forgot, something happened, they had to go answer a telephone call, whatever the case is, and they forget to come back, well, we want to remind them to come back and finish the home valuation. So you can see here, we tag them with question 1, and then we're going to make a condition. Inside this condition, if they match all of the following conditions, so we're going to tag them with Q1, so that's for question 1. So you can go in here, pick tags, opted through, sequence. We're going to use a tag, and we've already created that tag, which is going to be question 1. If the user matches that question, they're going to continue to the second question in the flow. If they do not match the tag, that's where the smart delay is going to kick in. So we set up a smart delay to wait 5 minutes and then ask them the question again. So that's how we're going to retarget the people that have been distracted and did not finish the home valuation. So I'll show you that part first, and then we'll dive into how to set up the second question. So I'm going to choose to wait 5 minutes, and then it's automatically going to send them the retargeting question 1. So you really just go in here and say, hey, first name, I noticed you didn't fill out the address. Do you still want to find out what the value of your home is? They click yes or no. If they say no, then we're done with the flow. You could continue to retarget them if you want, but I think that could get kind of annoying. If they didn't answer the first question and then they said no, they didn't want to continue, you probably would just stop there. So this ends up here, and it tells them that they can always come back and fill out the home valuation whenever they're ready. But we're not going to continue to tag them in an endless circle. So over here where it says yes, if they say yes, they want to continue, then we're going to retarget with the question 1. So if we were to open this flow, it literally just restates question 1, and then it goes into question 2. So what is the current address of the property? And this is important here. Do not include the city, the state, or the zip code. For this information to be pulled correctly from Zillow, you have to do it in specific sections. So the first one is literally just their address, the number, address, and the street. So you want to be as clear as possible with your audience to not include the city, the state, or the zip code. Those are going to be different questions in the flow. So if they answer the question properly, they're going to go straight to valuation 2. If they don't answer the question, then we're going to tag them later so we can retarget them. So let's go ahead and get into home valuation 2. And this needs to be a separate flow. So that's why you see this broken down. For us to properly retarget, use the conditions, and use the smart delays, that's why this isn't one long flow. You want to break it down to each question so you can continually send them to the right place, whether they answer the question or if you have to use the smart delay. So that's why we need 6 different flows to make this work properly. So if we go into home valuation question 2, which is going to be the city, and you're going to start to see a recurring theme. So this is a separate flow. We're going to use the same condition. We're going to tag them as answering question 2, and we're going to use a smart delay. So it's going to start with a user input again. Again, you have to use the user input. You will not be able to use text, and you have to have that pro account to make it work. So you save this as a text type, and then this is going to be asking for the city. So that's question 2. And then again, we're going to tag them as if they answered question 2. Once they answer question 2, they would immediately get a response back, and it would be question 3. If they do not answer question 2, again, we're going to use a condition. You can go in here and see the condition is the tag. They did not answer question 2, so that's going to tell the smart delay to retarget them in 5 minutes. And then they're going to get retargeted again with the same question. Hey, I noticed you didn't fill in your city. Do you still want to find out what the current value of your home is? So it's a very simple flow, just retargeting those users that got distracted. Again, if they say no, then we're just going to end the flow right then and there and tell them, hey, thanks, but you can come back later anytime that you want. If they do answer, then they're going to immediately go into question 3. So again, you'll see the reoccurring theme that we're going to use a condition. We're going to retarget them in 5 minutes. We're going to tag them. And then we're going to send them if this is their correct information. So this is the last part of the flow. before we go into Zapier and give the home valuation back to the user. So we tell them, hey, thanks. This is the last question. What's the zip code of your property? So again, you will go in here. I would choose, actually, I'm going to change this to text, because if you use a number, it gives the user the ability to skip. If they skip any step in this process, the home valuation will not work. They have to put in a real US-based address. They have to put in a real city and a real zip code. So when you let someone pick the number, you can see it gives them the option to skip. If the user skips it, it won't give them a value for their home, and it will just return a blank number. So I wanted to go in here and show you guys that. So we're going to change this to text, and it will still collect the information properly. So we're going to save that in a user custom field that we previously created for zip code, and it's question 3. And we're also going to go in here and tag them that they answered question 3. We're using the tag specifically for the condition so we can retarget them with the smart delay. So same process, the tag is Q3. If the user matches that tag, which means they answered the question, they're going to come over to this flow. If the user didn't answer the question, we're going to retarget them with the smart delay. So you guys have seen that previously. This is where something new pops in. So what we want to do here is give the user, give your audience, give your clients a chance to make sure that they answered the questions properly. So we are going to say, is this info correct? And then we're going to spit back their address, their city, and their zip code. If the answer is correct, that it's yes, that it is correct, we're going to move on to a separate flow. If the answer is no, it's not correct, then we're going to let them start the process over so they can re-input their information. So this is very useful, and I'm going to show you guys how to set this up using those custom fields that we created. So when you go into this flow, this is just a regular text block. So I'll show you guys how to do this. If we wanted to add some information here, if you go under, not the emoji one, but go under the brackets, and it has first name, last name, page ID. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, you can return information that a customer filled out or that a client filled out from those custom fields that we created. So I will put in the address validation, the city valuation, and then the zip code valuation. And it will return that information that the user just put into the previous flow. So it makes your bot look a lot smarter because it's returning that information. You can do this in any flow to give a better user experience to any flows, anything in your bot that you're doing. So we're going to collect that information. Go ahead and hit back here. So once it spits this flow back out, it'll return the proper information. And if they say yes, everything's correct, then we're going to go through and give them the actual home valuation. If they say no, no problem, just start over. So we're going to hit start over and then open this flow. It's just going to go directly back to the very first question. It's going to start the process over for them so they can re-input their information. If we're retargeting them, we're going to retarget them with the exact same question in number 3. So that's super easy to do. And again, if they say no, then we're just going to end the flow. Now on here, this is where the magic kind of happens, where we start to send information over to Zapier so we can pull everything together and return the actual value of their home. This happens real time from Zillow, any address across the United States this will work for. So if we go into, is this info correct? We're also going to perform an action. So that action is that we're going to add another tag. So the tag I chose is they're about to enter the zip code valuation. So after they answer all their questions, this is where we're going to trigger that zap to send the information over to Zapier. So make sure you tag them at the end in this step. And then that's what we're going to use when I show you guys over here in Zapier. So that's the entire flow. That's why you need 6 different flows to make sure everything's triggered properly. You have your questions, you have your retargeting questions, and you're able to use conditions and smart delays to put everything together. So now let's go ahead and jump over to Zapier so you can see how everything happens. All right, so the first step is going to be obviously pulling up ManyChat. So I'll walk you guys through here. You're going to select the ManyChat app. And if you haven't connected your page yet, it'll give you options to connect your page. We are going to use a new tagged user in this specific scenario for this specific flow. So just go ahead and click continue. And then if you already have a page connected, it'll list your pages here. So go ahead and pick the proper page that you're working with. If you have different clients, you're going to have a bunch of pages here. If it's just your page, you'll just have one option. And you can go ahead and test everything, make sure it's working properly. So that stuff is pretty standard. When you get into edit options, this is where we're going to have to go and grab that tag that we created. So the tag for this one to trigger that zap is the entered zip code valuation. Your tag can say whatever you want, but you want to make sure it's at the end where the zip code field is so you can grab that information. Once that's done, you can test this step. It'll pull in some information. So you can see here the information that it's grabbing from ManyChat. This is the information that we're going to use to give to Zillow to pull the actual valuation. So you can see the information, everything we need is in here, address, everything that we need is here. They take care of it for you. So now we're going to go over to the second step, which is going to be a webhook. So under the Get button, this is where you're going to be using webhooks by Zapier. So just go ahead and search for webhooks in here if you don't have it. This is the icon. There's going to be 3 or 4 options under here: a put, post, a custom request, and a get. You are only going to use a get because you are getting the information from Zillow. It's going to fire off a single request. Zillow will return that information to you, and that's where the value of the home is going to come from. Now, under Edit Template, there's a few things in here that you have to do, and they have to be done exactly the way that you see it on the screen. So the first thing that comes up is the URL, and that's where ManyChat is going to send this information. What URL are we going to go get the home valuation from? So that's this Zillow.com web service / get search results.htm. I will link that up in the description of the video so you can copy it. It will take you over here to Zillow. If you already don't have a Zillow account, you'll need to get an account. It's free. And then you'll be able to get your web services ID, which is what you're going to use down here in the ZWS ID field. Don't use mine. Don't copy it. I change it every once in a while. If you use mine and I change mine, your bot will not work. So make sure you go get yours. It's completely free. Everyone needs to be using their own ID in case any changes are made to my bot or someone else's bot, that it doesn't break your bot. So make sure you get your own. But you have to use this exact HTML address here, and URL, and I will link that in the description for you. Now down here, these also need to be exactly the same. So the ZWS-ID, that's where you're going to get from Zillow. That's your API key. Then you have to do city, state, zip, no spaces. It has to be exactly the same. Then you're going to type in Zestimate. So copy this exactly the way that it's spelled, and then address down here. So on the city, state, zip, you're just going to go in here and create these. So the step 1 is the city. then you're going to use a plus sign, and then you're going to put in a zip code. So if you click the plus sign over here, it brings down all this information. And this is the user custom fields again that we're going to need to grab. This whole thing is based on the user custom fields. So if you go down, you're going to scroll down and you're going to find user custom fields for the city. So here's user custom field city. So that's what put this in here. Then use a plus sign and then do user custom field zip code. Once you have that information in there, it's going to return the city and zip, and that's where it's going to pull more information for you. This has to say true, so these will be exactly the same for you. And then address, again, is the user custom fields for the address. So again, click the button over here for the field drop down, and then go find your user custom fields for the address, whatever you called that. Make sure you're using the exact same ones that you built into this bot. The next process is this stays exactly the same. These are the defaults that Zapier puts in there. So no, JSON, yes, leave those alone. And go ahead and click continue. And then you'll get a request successfully processed if you've done everything correctly. So that's what you should see when it's set up. So that sets up your ManyChat triggering the Zap, ManyChat sending the information through a webhook over to Zillow. Once that's done, now the next step is we need to return the information that Zillow is sending, the home value. We need to give that back to the user inside the bot. So again, we're going to add a third step, which is going to be using ManyChat. And we're going to send a text message to a user. So you will click ManyChat again. And then one of your options in here, sometimes you have to show less common options to find it, but it's going to be send a text message to the user. You're going to pick your ManyChat page, and then you're going to go into edit template. So there's a couple things that we need to do in here so it spits back the proper information. The very first one is use a custom audience. Use a custom value. You have to do that one in order to get the second one right. So you're going to use the drop down here and make sure you go find use a custom value. Don't pick anyone's name. Don't pick anything else, or again, it won't work. You're going to use a custom value here at the bottom. Now, once you do that, the custom value for the user ID, inside of ManyChat, every user has their own specific ID. So you're going to go through here. You're going to find this new tag user in step 1, and you're going to scroll down here and you're going to find the user ID. That's the only one that you can pick to make sure that this works properly. Then the next step is to send the actual message. So you can create any message you want that you want to return back to the user. So for specifically for this one, we're going to return that value. So I say your home is currently valued between this number and this number. So when Zillow spits back that information, it's going to give them a high range and a low range of what their home is valued at. So to go in here and find that, click the drop down. And now we're going to go under the get portion. And it's going to bring up everything that we can get back from Zillow. But there's only two things that you're going to want to grab. That is the value range high and value range low. So the low range of the value of the house is $210,000 and the high range is $232,000. So to do that, you put in low range here and then type out and then go back in and put the high range. So when it returns the information back to the user, it'll give them a specific number for the low range and a specific number for the high range. And then you can go and fill out any information here. You can put in a call to action to your bot, something like one of our agents will reach out to you, or if you're the real estate agent yourself, you can say, I'll reach out to you shortly and we can have a deep dive into the value of your home and see what we can do to help you sell the house. So there's many things you can do after you collect that lead. But I wanted to show you guys exactly how to build out this information and use it to start collecting leads and giving those free home valuations. So if you guys have enjoyed this video, if you got any value out of this, I appreciate you subscribing to my channel, liking this video below. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you. I'm out.